in sunny Los Angeles, California. Good day, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode. I say yet another episode of Dan's Stream of Thought, but it's been 2 months! It's been 2 entire months right here. The Danotage has moved. The internet is pumping through our veins, pumping through our brains, and not leaving any stains. Once again, we are here, right here on twitch.tv/streamersquare, whether you're watching this later on YouTube or you're listening to it in podcast format on your favorite podcast application. Come on by, come hang out with us, come ask some questions. Let's say hi to everybody. Let's chill out. Let's relax. Let's take some time to breathe. Let's get back into the swing of things because it is 2020, the first episode of 2020. It's time to bring it back around. It's time to talk about what's happening for 2020. It's time to talk about all the things that may or may not be having a blast of energy as we come through, as we have the time of our lives. Hi everybody, how are you? Welcome. I did say in my tweet when we were going live today that I will say a bunch of things that mean absolutely nothing, and that's what we just did. But in all seriousness, it is a brand new episode of Dan's Stream of Thought. It is the 2020 edition. We are going to change up the show a tiny bit. Not necessarily in format or content. Well then, Dan, if you're not changing in format or content, what are you changing up? Well, we're changing up some of the topics that we're going to be talking about. It's not something that I guess thought of too much as far as like what I want to do and which topics we want to hit. But I have thought of sort of, people are going to be listening to this, and people are probably listening to this. People probably listen to most streams, definitely my stream, as more of a talk radio show. You know what I mean? As a show that allows you to sit back, relax, interact within your brain. You can interactive chat if you like to. You can ask questions. You can have whatever we have going on. In fact, today's going to very much be a, what did we call it last time? I can't remember. We called it, so I got the idea from Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, Dr. Tyson, and he always has a comedian friend on, and they sometimes do, they sometimes don't have a specific topic, but they get a bunch of random questions, whether it's via Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or what have you. And then they call them Cosmic Queries. Usually there's a general topic on it, and I think we'll have general topics when we do those. Today's a general topic on general topics. So, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is, there's no plan for this show. But there's a reason, there's like a plan that there's no plan for this show, right? So, I was going to jump right into 2020 talking about, agency and talking about agencies, management, things to look out for, red flags on taking deals with people. I was going to jump into talking about ownership of your content, based on, but most of those things come up because of experiences that I've had, or something that has hit me from the Twitterverse or from something going on within a deal that's gone right or wrong and that's been talked about. Things have been kind of mild as far as that goes for the beginning of this year. There's been a few things. There's been a few like esports jumbos that has happened, but in the end, what is my ultimate advice? What is the stream of thought that goes through my head? Consult a lawyer. Legitimately, just if you have questions about deals going on, just consult your lawyer. And if you have management, consult your management. Don't consult your agency though, because while they're probably agencies are meant to, their sole job is to get you work and for them to get paid. they probably look out for you because they do want you to get more work because it makes them get more money. And I'm not saying that the agencies are shady. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that their job is to make money. Their job isn't to make you look good. That's why you hire a manager, right? But isn't all management gross and terrible? Fearless 520. I'm gonna have to ask you to put that into the very specific question format in the bot. Thank you. I won't answer any questions that are not in the format of asking in the bot. Fearless 520 happens to be my management. Consult my lawyer friend or consult the lady that's literally working right next to me. Actually, she's doing yoga in the living room. But yes, you can consult Mr. Noah, who happens to be a lovely host right here on Streamer Square. They do Your Brand, Your Business every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Right? Is it 6 p.m. Eastern? You can catch that show. You can hang out with Chickenators or Warbnull or my lawyer friend, or all three of them at the same time as they talk about business and branding and taxes and lawyer stuff and legalese and all kinds of things. I literally have an in-house lawyer. Yes, but unfortunately, she can't represent me in court, which kind of stinks. But she can read the contracts, which is nice. And you know, I'm not gonna offer her services unless she gives me permission to. But her jam is entertainment contracts, so she's the lady to go to. If you guys need somebody to read something for you and not make you get totally taken advantage of, because that is what happens, right? We're not going to talk about this today too much, but that was basically what I've seen happen in the last month and a half or so, because we're about halfway through February. It's February 11th. 3 more days until that made-up holiday. What's everybody doing for this made-up holiday? I'm probably going to make dinner, like normal. Katie and I are probably going to work until our fingers fall off. Probably what's gonna happen. That's about it. Probably gonna... You know what? I should just buy a bottle of wine. Just because. Why not? Just buy a bottle of wine. I'm not gonna drink it. Probably. Last bottle of wine I bought, I didn't drink. I've used like a quarter of it in cooking. That's about it. I didn't do anything else. that's it. So yeah, we're probably gonna do not much else. Make sure everybody registers to vote. Although you're probably, if you're listening to this, there's a like 70%, no, probably not that high. Probably like 30% chance that you don't live in the United States, but you should still, you know, if you live in a democratic state, you should, or a democratic country, you should register to vote. I'm just gonna say that every show and everything I do. What have I been up to? Well, it's funny that you ask. Thank you for asking that, by the way. I appreciate that. It's a very good question. What have I been up to? I've been up to moving. So I haven't been here for 2 months now because the last show was right before the holiday season. When the holiday season hit, I very much decided to actually take a real vacation. Like I was gone for like a week. I went home, saw my parents, had holidays with them, which was nice because we don't really get to do that too much. Because we moved to sunny Southern California. It's a big pain in the butt to travel, but we did do that this year, and that was nice. So we went there. I spent some time there. Continued streaming. And then we moved. Well, we moved at the end of January, but there was a lot of things happening, and I was packing up the house and moving stuff around, and we wasn't able to do any extra shows or anything. So we didn't do a show. It's pretty much that simple. But there's a big moves that have happened. So we've moved to Los Angeles, California. I'm not gonna dox myself, obviously, but we're in sunny LA, where a lot more of my friends live. You know, I had a good small group of friends in San Diego, and I really love the city of San Diego. It's very fantastic. It's actually very nice to be able to be creative there. But now I've moved closer to to Hollywood and a lot of other friends as well. So now I can stretch my creative legs. We've upgraded internet, so the day we moved till like literally a week later, I had 0 internet in the house, and so I was not able to stream, was not able to do anything, and it just became kind of a pain in the butt. But that was a little mini vacation too, because I was able to actually get a little bit creative in thinking about what I wanted to do. And within that thought, I was able to think about what did I want my Streamer Square show, which is Dan's Stream of Thought, which is what you're listening to right now. You obviously know these things. Duh, what do I have to tell you? I don't have to tell you. I was able to think more about what I wanted the show to be, because now that we've kind of covered everything in the book, after how many episodes? Like, I don't know, what are we, like 30 episodes in? I have no idea, probably not. We're quite a bit of episodes in. We've covered a lot of it. There's probably more details and stuff we can go into, but for the gist of it, you should just buy the book and read the details, because I can go over every little single detail, but that would get super boring. You'd probably rather read it and be able to think about it yourself, if that makes sense. So, exclamation point book, you can check that out, or you can go to Amazon.com, and you can check out a few things. So, the title of the book is Twitch, Creating, Growing, and Monetizing Your Live Stream. Pick that up. It's $13. It's really nothing. I'll be working on a new book soon. More than likely, I'll be finishing it up this summer. I'd like to release it before GCX, but that ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's probably not gonna happen, because it's got a lot of work to be done. I don't want to do another straight up, here, look, this is what Twitch is. I don't want to do that. That's what my publishers were told me to do last time. I'm not going to do that this time. We're going to go more into depth. So, the show that's on before me is about moderation. It's hosted by two of the best, amazing mods in the entire world. Adorka Bleem and Wes Sisa. They have guests on. Today they had a developer on who was very informational, very informative, very intelligent. Being a streamer, you kind of have to be everything. You have to wear like every single hat. Whether it's, the entertainer, the chat moderator, the professional gamer or cook or whatever it might be for your content. You have to be the tech support. You've got to be the social media manager. You've got to be you got to be everything. You got to wear so many hats. So when people step up and they take over roles like your moderator, or when they take over roles like your communications operator, your operations manager, your whatever it may be, your manager, your agent, your everything. When people step up and take those roles and they relieve you of whatever it might be going on, I'll tell you right now, it is literally a lifesaver. And I say that, and I don't mean that hyperbolically. It is literally a lifesaver, because your stress goes down, which means your blood pressure probably goes down. Your sleep goes up, hopefully. Unless you're the Hunter Wild who doesn't know how to stop working. He'll listen to this. He'll hear this. Hunter, I'm looking at you. And it allows you to do this is kind of a oxymoron here. It allows you free time to do other stuff, because if you're like Hunter, you're like me, because I'm basically exactly like Hunter, you find other things to keep you busy and to keep you extremely busy, because the average streamer who like goes all out in what they do and loves what they do, usually as a person that always has to be busy. I personally always have to be busy, or I freak out. You can ask Katie, it pisses her off, because she wants me to relax. She wants me to not be stressed. But she's also a hypocrite, because she does the same thing. She's an attorney at law. So she works 24/7 as well. We're all hypocrites. All of us are hypocrites. I tell Hunter all the time, you need to stop working. You need to slow down. While I'm over here doing exactly what I'm saying not to do. We're all hypocrites. That's just what we do. Well, we have to be, you know, all these different hats. So when people step up to do that, it literally saves lives. So thank you guys for doing that and everybody listening to that. If you're a moderator, I think that you probably listen to this show. Whether you're a content creator, moderator, manager, anything. There is something here for everything in this show. And I think I want that to continue to happen. But now there's a whole show for moderation. And I think there's a good way for us to marry the two things. And I can possibly have one of these weeks when Wes and Rini want to go crazy and do two shows in a row. I'd like to have them on to ask them very specific questions, or vice versa. I do 2 shows and I'm on their show or whatever it might be. But there's an opportunity to marry my show with their show and several other shows, like how I've been on streamers or Stream Scene and stuff like that. There's an important delineation between what my show is compared to a lot of things, because in the end, like Dan's Stream of Thought is it's anything, it's everything, it's a variety show. So I think what I've been kind of dwelling on and trying to figure out is, how do I make this show specific or more specific? And I've said this before, it's about professionalism. This show is more on the focus of how to stay professional within the gaming industry. And this, while it is called the Stream of Thought, it is mostly about the gaming industry in general. So whether you are a developer, a publisher, an agent for game companies and stuff like that, who deliver campaigns and put together whatever it might be, or maybe you're a social media manager and you deal with the electronic world. It's not just video gaming, but you deal with products and stuff like that. I hope to think that if you're looking for professional thoughts and thought process, you'd come to this show. And I think that's what we're going to make 2020 about, which is basically take this information and frame it in a way that is meant to be spoken to professionals, right? So I'd like to have authors on this show where we can talk about our experiences with taking deals and contracts, and with the process of creating content while also living under the pressure of, hey, when are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? Are you going to do it correctly? Are you going to be mad if you don't get to do what you want? Are you going to throw a fit when you are asked to write a Twitch book but are kind of forced to cut 3/4 of it out? All these things. But essentially, in the end, we're going to be focusing on professionalism and how to stay in the professional light on the internet, which is hard because there are so many ways where, or so many situations, I should say, where emotions can very much take over. And emotion is good. I think some of my best work is when I become very emotional. You know, if I get, because like sometimes frustration drives me. Sometimes when people aren't doing things I think they should be doing, it drives me to go out and contact them and be like, yo, let's get this done so you succeed. You know, professionalism is kind of my role over at, you know, Rare Drop, when I, you know, help them out. And all their political, I guess not political, it is politics that we have to run with a lot of the time, but more public relations facing the gaming industry when it comes to GuardianCon, or GCX as it is now known, the Gaming Community Expo, which happens in June, by the way. Big things happening for Streamer Square. So if you're a fan of this channel or this organization, this company that is here to help you become a better streamer, moderator, professional, gamer, you're going to make your butt get up and go down to Orlando, Florida at the end of June. Get your tickets now, get your hotels now. It's not that expensive, and it's worth every single dime, because you're going to have the greatest experience you've ever had at GCX, and I promise you that. It'll be the best convention that you've been to. We're going to beat out PAX, E3. Well, E3 is not hard to beat out these days. Everything. TwitchCon. Everything. I know. TwitchCon. I'm overhyping it. Saying we're going to beat out TwitchCon. I'm telling you right now. We're going to be better than TwitchCon. It's going to be that good. All right. OmniWaffle. I'm going to need my paycheck now. No, seriously though, I'm very passionate about a lot of the stuff we do, and it all comes down to a funnel too, because in the end the funnel is all for the same reason, right? It's all coming down to helping everybody improve. You know, my involvement in GCX, my involvement in Streamer Square, my involvement in writing and all these things, and having conversations and being interviewed by a reporter today. Yeah, right before this, I was interviewed by a reporter. Hopefully that article will come out soon and I'll be able to talk about it, but there's a lot of things that are very sensitive in there that I don't want to even mention what it's even about or who's even publishing it before it even comes out. But it's important for the industry, and I hope I gave some good information that comes out there. But with that being said, like, I think that we're doing something good, right? Almost all these things are volunteerships for me. Hopefully one day I'll become a guru and be able to hold a convention myself and make $1 billion off of it. But right now it's all volunteer work, and we all do what we can. But this is it's just to go to show that I'm truly passionate about being able to help people stay professional, because it's not like, you may ask, like, what do you get out of it, Dan? Why do you do this? And I can sit here and blow smoke up your butt and say, oh, I just want people to be better, and I want the world to grow. I want the planet to be happy and stuff like that. And I do want those things, but I'll be honest with you, it's not at the forefront of my brain. The forefront of the brain is to develop skills that allow for, helping the world get better, yes, but also to make sure that we as gamers take over the world. And like, not just gamers, but like professional gamers, people who have professional lives that take care of each other, and to be able to say, hey, I learned morality from video games. I learned survival skills from video games. I learned hand-eye coordination from video games. I learned communication and love through video games. I learned passion through video games. And I want those people to run the world. I really do. There are lots of gamers out there that are toxic, and I don't want them to ever touch a single thing that runs any part of the government, but there's a lot of good people because of gaming, and I want them to run the world. And I think that this is the one step that'll get us there. Not the single step, but like one of the steps that'll get us there. Because if we rule the world, I think it'll be a better place. It's as simple as that. If Trekkies rule the world, it might just save itself. You know why? Because Star Trek's awesome. And if we can do our very best to make our world like Star Trek, then hell, that's utopia right there. That's what we're looking for, right? That's what we want. We want nerds to run the world. Us video game nerds that min-max things to the point of anxiety-inducing headaches, but so that we can have the most efficiency in the world, so that we're not wasting energy, so that we're not, we're going to space and we're exploring new worlds, and we're not using fossil fuels anymore and using single-use plastic and, all these things. I drink my water out of a can, although this is fancy. I try to drink the rest of my water out of a can. I will admit I am drinking out of a coffee cup, which is not the best, but it's not plastic, so that's good. It's at least recycled. Star Wars over Star Trek. Hey man, I'm a giant Star Wars nerd. I love Star Wars, but Star Wars is not realistic. Star Trek kind of is. Star Trek kind of is. Star Trek is actually it's a future utopia, right? It's something that we can viably think about having in the next like several hundred years if we did everything properly. But obviously it's not looking that way. But in the end, that is the goal of the show, and to talk about what it is that we're trying to do here I think I would like to think throughout all of Streamer Square, but very specifically here on Dan's Stream of Thought, is to help the people that I think could do good stay professional so that they don't get canceled or they don't get, they don't lose out on jobs that they were totally fully qualified for, that, stuff like that, where the good people can win, That's what we want out of this. We want the good people to win the battles, because if the good people lose the battles, then hell, what are we even doing here? And this all comes from, this is the same reason, because Katie asks me this too all the time. And people do ask me this. People thought I was weird for this. My favorite movies are mostly war movies. Mostly like true depictions of war, right? They're all dramas. They're usually made up. But so my favorite movies are war movies, dramatic war movies. Because they're often stories about humans being humans, right? And what humanity is. I just finished watching Fury for the first time with Brad Pitt and Michael Pena and Shia LaBeouf and John Barenthal. I don't know who the kid is. I don't know who the kid is. He was a new actor. But the point is, I just finished watching that movie, and like there's a couple really big stories in there that talk about what humans were forced to do and why they look evil in those lights, but also the fact that they are still human people that care about life and stuff like that, and don't have the heart always to just take it from people. And if we, that's why I like that, and that's the whole reason that we think about what's going on with our next moves and how we hold ourselves in the public light, and what we decided we want our job to be, and what we spend our money on, and the reason we even live, the reason we stay living after being depressed for decades, and we're like, dude, we just had enough, and why suicide rate is so high, and why the people that have contemplated suicide, why they choose to keep living, right? That's why that's important to think about, no matter what. We talk about it all the time. It's very uncomfortable to hear that your friend wants to commit suicide, right? This is a very heavy topic. Wow, Dan. But it's uncomfortable to hear about that. But then when you think about all the things that you've thought about, and you realize that it's a very real thought, but then you come to the realization later that you're like, oh, but there are other things to live for, and there are things that I can do even if I feel sad or hate myself or whatever it might be, right? And that's hopefully what we can at least spark that thought, right? We're not going to talk about mental health here, right? I'm not a professional. I shouldn't be talking about that. But we will talk about creative juices, and and we'll talk about the way to be held in a light where people look at you, and then you can feel, sort of, at least know how to feel proud about the work that you've put out, right? If that makes sense. Blech. But does that make sense? Understand what we're getting at here? I think we want that to be the state of the Twitch thought. No, that comes out wrong. The state of thought right here on Dan's Stream of Thought. Some of the topics we'll be covering soon, like we mentioned earlier, will be we might maybe I'll we have opportunity. I have to get my office together, obviously. But we do have opportunity to have some actual legal discussions here. There are two lawyers, that one lives in this house and the other one lives very close by, that I'd like to come on and interview and talk about things. I think that could be very easy to be able to have real discussions about the industry as a whole and certain problems that have come up and certain things. That would make sense to, and then I could be there to be the dummy translator when these guys start talking about smart stuff. I can be like, yo, but what does that mean to us stupid people? But yeah, definitely. I think that we'd like to talk about that. We'd like to talk about, what was the other situation I was talking about earlier? I'd like to talk about, red flags, what to search out for, how to hold your content to be yourself. Prime example about that kind of stuff would be somebody mentioned something about my appearance the other day. I just ignored it. Nothing happened. Nobody commented on it. Nobody said anything. Just didn't bring attention to it. And then I think that person kept talking later, but they were fine, right? They weren't banned. They weren't timed out. They weren't anything. They just ignored it, right? Same thing goes with, like, there was a topic, there was a thing that happened on Twitch this year, now that I'm remembering, and along this same route, which was somebody said something they probably shouldn't have, and then everybody talked about it, and that person then, you know, made a bunch of money afterwards because they got a bunch of attention, basically free promotion. Well, we could have just all ignored it, right? There are certain leaders in this world that got attention by saying some stupid stuff and then got elected. Could have just ignored it, and they probably would have not gotten any power. Because we live in a world of marketing and putting yourself out there and having other people talk about you and influence. So when somebody has influence over you and you sitting there saying, I'm not influenced by this person, I'm talking about how they're not influencing me because I don't like what they're saying. No, but they're influencing somebody, and somebody's listening. And when you spread that message, whether you're talking about it being wrong or not, somebody else just agreed with that message. And then somebody else just agreed with that message. And then you helped them spread their message further and further. When people talk about being misogynistic all the time on Twitter and then continue to retweet that and talk about it more and talk about how they hate it, it still goes to people that didn't need to hear it because they didn't need to agree with it, but they did, and you help them do that. So, like, stuff like that, being able to control the content that comes out of your channels. You get to control every piece of everything that comes out of your channel. So we'll talk about those. And anyway, I can get too far into that, but we can talk about those situations. We'll talk about writing, whether it's writing tweets, whether it's responding to an email, whether it's responding to, you know, the people that work for you, whether it's responding to devs and their interactions on public entities and public media. You know, obviously, the what and where and why, you can go to the stream scene to listen to that and to learn about that, but the how part and what we would want to say to them and how we'd want to say it and how we'd want to phrase it and word it and how you would want, what words to stay away from and what things to avoid saying on public media and stuff like that. That's what we'll do here, right? So you get the what, where, why over on Stream Scene. You get the how over here on Dance Stream of Thought. A little bit different. Writing articles, yeah. Writing articles, that's my wheelhouse. That's Fearless's wheelhouse. Fearless 520 is a writer himself as well, which is probably why he's my manager. We get along in that way. But yes, like somebody came to me the other day about talking about the legal ins and outs, not like the legal ins and outs, but like the do's and don'ts of writing fan fiction, or the methods of how to put a story together and stuff like that. And that's very much something that I think is very useful and something I think I can help with. So that will be a lot of what we talk about this year. I'd like to have more guests on this year. That's not something we got to do last year too much. Now that I kind of know where the idea is, or where the show is, I can more easily pitch what we want to talk about and stuff like that. I'm sure that I don't even need to pitch that. I just need to ask people if they want to be on. I have an idea for 2 different people to come on and talk about interaction, or being part of something bigger than themselves but not too big, you know, like being part of a channel more easily, where we talk about, you know, currencies within the Twitch chat and how those are, how you want to make that more than just a currency, and how people collect things. You want to make that so that they can interact with you better. I think there's a couple people I'll have on for that. All stuff. Try to chat one of these days in? Of course. 100%. I love it. What I love most about writers is that we're all different. I truly do think that. I think games journalists out there, not many of those people are different. But writers who do it because of pleasure we're all different. And I love that. Hey Wiggler, what's up, dude? Sometimes it's hard to ignore the people we disagree with because we want to show that we're always right. Possibly. It's hardest thing to know when to disengage. Sure. I've lost this love with Twitter specifically recently. I still post, I still put all my content on there. I still put the things that need to go onto Twitter. But my engagement with other people has gone... It's not really changed too much because I never really did this a ton, but it's the mindset of it all has changed quite a bit. Because there's so many things that I don't need to interact with. And I think that's how I think of it now instead of want to interact with. It's I don't need to interact with these things, Whether it's liking, whether it's responding, whether it's retweeting, whether it's subtweeting, whatever it might be. But simply like thinking about whether or not I want to like something has been like a chore now, because if I like this, is that going to show up on somebody else's feed that probably doesn't want to see that? Probably. So I have to if I don't like something on purpose, it's not because I don't want to, it's because I'm trying to be conscious of other people, because a lot of things going on are, and this is going to go into professionalism as well. We often don't think about how our actions affect others, right? And it goes back to the previous conversation as well, but this one specifically, we don't really think too much about the actions that we take and how they affect others, right? Because everything you do now affects somebody else on the internet. Before it didn't, right? Obviously in life it does, and it always has. That's never changed. But on the internet, not really, right? You were allowed to do things a lot more secretive. And that's kind of good that we're getting away from that, because hopefully it'll teach people that everybody's actions mean something, but also the less and less anonymous we are on the internet, the better, probably. I can't give like a solid answer for that, but probably. Because we do want to still stay somewhat anonymous, because you never know who's going to stay more anonymous and then attack you for that. But yeah, there's all kinds of things where I think we're learning a little bit more, which is good. Ethics? Oh, ethics, yes, is never going to be a single episode. I'll tell you that right now. You will never see a single episode that just says ethics, or ethics of streaming, or ethics of the gaming industry. You will never see a single episode named that, because it is far too deep of a topic to make one episode about an entire broad subject like that. We will talk about ethics a lot, but it'll always be something very specific, because we can do a whole episode on very, very many specific things. It's crazy. It's actually insane, the ethics and the ethical decisions that, or non-ethical decisions that people make without either not understanding or not caring, or knowing and still going through with it, that affect others. It's very strange. I don't understand. I don't understand. I mean, so a lot of what we'll talk about too, or when I normally talk about, if you listen to the show before, you probably know, we talk a lot about empathy and what it means to be empathetic toward anybody, just towards making a simple tweet, having some strain of empathy go through your mind when you write a tweet that you think is totally harmless. You should probably be sure it's harmless, right? And usually the empathy is what drives that. But anyway, well, we'll further get into that a lot more. It's a good outlet for you. Writing is, I think, the easiest outlet to get into. I think it's the easiest thing to start doing, right? Because no matter how well you write, you can always write, right? Everybody types in chat, everybody tweets online, everybody posts on Instagram, everybody texts their family, their mom and dad, their brother and sister, their friends, their everybody. Like everybody writes something. So you at least have a set skill that you can do. Not everybody draws, right? Not everybody writes with a pen and pencil anymore, but everybody types something. So it's probably the easiest thing to get into is to start writing. So yeah, if you don't know how to express yourself and you just want to try something, try writing stuff down. Put it in a notepad. Put it in a Word document. Put it on a Google Drive. Start writing. By far, it's the easiest thing to get into. It's obviously not the easiest thing to master. You can talk to J.J. Abrams about that. He doesn't know how to write himself out of a paper bag. But that's not neither here nor there. The big thing is we'll get into professionalism and we'll talk more about it. But yeah, I wanted to come in here today and come into this episode. I know this episode's not like super deep and obviously doesn't have a topic of like advice or topic of discussion, but we talked about what's going on this year. And so to list out what's going on this year, you'll see more guests, you'll see specific topics, and we'll be able to talk about professionalism as a main theme. Professionalism and empathy will be the two main themes we go through when talking about every single thing we talk about here. So, let's do it. Happy 2020, everybody. Do you have any questions? Any questions in chat that we can, about anything, just straight up. It doesn't have to be about what we talked about today. It could be about anything. I like to open up at like last 20 minutes or so just to open up questions. I absolutely love these days where I start writing and suddenly 4 hours have passed and I've been in the zone. So so deep that I realized I haven't gotten out of my chair. Yeah, that's why also investing into a nice chair is important. Like the one downside is, yeah, you might not know you've been sitting for super long, but the upside is that your back's not going to be dying when you realize that you've been writing so long or you've been sitting so long working, and you know, your posture will very much thank you at the, you know, near the middle of your life, sitting in a good chair. A lot of things will be very, very happy that you bought a good chair. It's very important for that. So, invest in a chair. Invest in a bed. Don't be like me, you just pass out on the couch when you don't even mean to. Just pass out, like whatever. Why do streamer with money still upgrade their streaming equipment and technology? Probably because there's always better stuff out there. There's always more. You know, we live in a society where there's always something out there that's better. No matter what you have, there's always something that's better. That's probably why. It probably doesn't make, like, obviously the more and more stuff you get, the smaller the percentage of improvement you get, but that little improvement still makes you happy, you know? It's an easy way to feel fresh about what you're doing every day, you know? Because if you have the same equipment, which I've kind of had the same equipment for a long time, but you know, little upgrades like I just finally got Christmas presents in the mail from my dad, because I didn't get to see him. I got to see my mom. I didn't get to see my dad, but he sent me he sent me a new mouse pad. So I have this Logitech G703 mouse that is wireless and rechargeable, and he got me the mouse pad that charges it without me having to plug it in. That feels awesome. I feel different, right? It may not be super different, but I feel different when I'm playing games or I'm streaming, you know? So it's little upgrades like that just change. You know, we have these lights behind us now. Cost me $12 or whatever, but we got those lights. I now have a different part of the lighting system. I just got the controller for my stage light, which I'm probably gonna mount to the ceiling honestly. That way we have two different styles of light, so it works and it looks different and it looks cooler, and you know, it makes us happy. As creative people, living in the same environment and using the same equipment gets tough, right? It gets tough. You've been using one piece of equipment for so long, you just kind of get sick of it. You're like, I feel like it's distracting me and I'm being hindered into what it is that I want to do with the rest of my life, or what it is I want to do with my career, or whatever it might be. Actually jealous. I've had this mouse for about 2 years. I've loved this mouse. This mouse pad is freaking awesome. It's definitely cool. It's always pushed me to better the stream regardless of small improvement. Exactly. There's always something, because whether it's, you know, whether think, because there's a couple different mindsets. There's like, oh, if I have a better quality of the stream, it's going to keep people around in my stream longer, because either they'll enjoy themselves more, they'll think I'm more serious about what I do, which means they feel safe to feel invested. Because let's be honest here, you can put on the same show every single time, but if you're inconsistent in like your timing or what games you're playing or anything, right? A viewer can feel nervous about wanting to invest into your channel, into their entertainment, right? Some people who may be very prone to subscribing, or not prone, but like very up to subscribing to somebody on Twitch, may not do it if they see that they can't, if somebody's not consistent with them, right? Oh, I like this, but I really hate that, or whatever, or they were playing this game, but they immediately switched to something completely different, or they used to stream at this time, now they don't, now sometimes they stream at that time. If I don't feel consistent, I may not want to invest into that, right? So that can change dramatically. If this person sees, oh, this guy has this super awesome setup, like he really cares about what he does, yeah, easy. I'm gonna stick around, and I'm gonna take a gamble on whether or not I'm going to spend more time in this channel. That's a mindset that goes through too. Sometimes it's personal, sometimes it's for their channel, sometimes they just always wanted something and they finally now can get it, you know? There's all kinds of reasons for that. Logitech mice on the way. I have loved both Logitech mice and Razer mice. The Corsair mouse I had for a while was not bad. I've not used too much Corsair though. My Corsair keyboard is pretty nice, but Razer mice and Logitech mice are what I've used for basically my entire gaming career, and I've loved them. But that doesn't, I'm not loyal to any one brand. Not yet. Can you publish Twitch Book 2 with everything that's cut out of the first one? Yes and no. There'll be a lot of things that I took out that'll probably be in the second one, but it'll be a completely different book. I don't know what that last sentence is. Can you type it and then read it and see if it sounds okay and then press enter? That would help us all so much. How much important do you place on webcams? I stream primarily roleplay, and like for the focus to be on the content of the scene rather than my face. Sure. You get to choose that. I think that's great. There is a little bit of psychology behind that. It's all about the market, right? It's all about the market in a lot of different ways. If people are watching roleplay content for the cast, you probably want to lean into that. You probably want to show the camera on the faces and stuff like that. But again, it's your show. You get to do whatever you want. It depends what your goal is, right? If your goal is to get more viewers, you got to lean towards the market. If your goal is to put on a good show, you do whatever you have. You do whatever you got to. You do whatever you want to. If your show is to put on, if your goal is to put on the good show and have it be on the content and like, you know, the maps or the pieces or the die rolls or whatever it might be, then do that. But it depends on your goal, right? That's always going to be the end result. or the end answer to that. It depends on your goal. Streamers being cautious about who they host and who hosts them. So again, whatever is under your control, right? If you're worried about who's hosting you, that's probably a legitimate concern. But that's why you take the precautions to blacklist certain words in your channel, because one of my favorite complaints on Twitter is this person just came in and started saying the C word to me. I'm like, well, why is that not blacklisted in your channel? I don't get that. Would you allow anybody to say that? Probably not. So blacklist the heck out of it. Right? So, yeah, you take precautions to be careful when somebody hosts you like that. And you get, you train your mods and you teach your mods, hey, if something's happening that we don't like, switch it to subscribers only or emote only or followers only or whatever it might be. That's why they provide tools for that. It's very important to think about who's hosting you sometimes. But that's the only reason, is if a chat gets toxic. Everything else, I'm not sure I understand the concern. Maybe they don't want a whole lot of viewers, which I can understand too. I can get that. I can understand that. But sometimes that's part of the territory. When it comes to who you're hosting, well, you have full control over whoever you host. You don't have to host anybody. That's why a lot of people want, they do request me to host random streamers just to see their reaction and see them get like a big host or whatever. And I'm like, I want to do that too. But if I don't know who it is, I don't want it to look like I'm endorsing somebody who's like being a total jerk, right? So you have to be careful with that. That's why I develop a rule, which is I will only host somebody that I've watched once. It could have been whenever, but that's the criteria, right? I will only host people that I've watched at least once, right? And that could be, for 10, 20 minutes, but it's more time than it takes for me to just go to the channel and watch it for a little bit and then host them, So, develop rules for yourself and stuff like that. That's important. It is. My worry is that it makes me less relatable. Well, how do you mean by less relatable? The content should be the part that's relatable, right? This is roleplay in a video game rather than a tabletop. So so you mean with you're talking about just streaming the game itself. Also, most role players don't even use a camera, I believe. Because it allows them to get into character a little bit better. Allows the immersion, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I'd say the majority of role players turn their camera off when they go roleplay. I'm good friends with Cletus Buford and I know Ava, GG, and who else is some big role plays? I know I'm blanking on Space Boy. I know Space Boy pretty well. Yeah, they usually turn their cameras off. Venelis, yeah, Venelis. Yeah. Usually the ones that keep their cameras on are usually the ones that don't roleplay too often, so that they can guarantee that the people who come there, they're coming there and getting what they want, which is to see their favorite streamer or whoever it is, People running fight simulators? For what? For what? The cameras? I mean, yeah, sure. The camera, no camera, like that's a creative choice of yours. Or for some people, it's a stressful choice. Or a stress-less choice, because if they're not on camera, they don't have to worry about what they're doing, right? They can just play the game and speak. That's 2 things versus 3 things. When it comes to the business side, though, you have to look at what gets more viewers. Usually, not always, But usually, it's a camera. Because, yeah, like, I get what you're talking about now. It does make somebody relatable. But how you speak can also do the same thing. It may be harder because you're taking two things and making it into one, so you have to kind of do double the work in your creative process of speaking. But you can still do it. It's still possible. You know what I mean? It's still possible. Does it make you less relatable? No, I don't think so. I would not say that. I would say it's harder to find that relation immediately because you need to listen for a little bit to find that relation. But that doesn't change the fact that you may still relate exactly the same way to that person than you would to somebody on camera. It also depends on the person too, right? Some people don't care about what somebody looks like. Some people really do. It's all about finding your audience for that. You know, there are people out there that put their camera on and people like looking at them, like myself, maybe, and are boring as hell on the microphone, right? Like if I turned my camera off, who knows? I may lose half my viewership. Maybe I'd gain it. I don't know. And then there's people who don't speak and they can keep the same viewership because of whatever they look like. Maybe they wear a clown mask. I don't know. You know? It's all different. Like there's no one answer to that for sure. Mustache is quite the draw. Yeah, that's a big thing too. Like what? I dread that day when I decide I don't want this anymore. God, I dread that day. You know how many people come into my stream and go, I love your mustache. That's why I'm here. I'm like, it's not what I want to hear. It's really not. It's really not. Also, as a content creator, you must be cognizant of keeping things on your stream that have entertainment value and fit with your brand. You're not going to allow your brand to be associated with something that detracts or harms your brand. You shouldn't, yeah. People do all the time, but yeah, definitely shouldn't. It's definitely a good thing to keep in mind, yeah. 100%. My baldness is now a thing. Can't change that though. Yeah. It's true. There are things that I am privileged to have the choice of that people don't. That is one thing I do need to take into consideration a lot of the time. It's been turned into an emote and that was set in stone. It's correct. It's correct. I have an emote that is this one, which is our mod Gamertech because he's very robotic. We like to everybody think that he's a robot. I'm putting it in an application for that panel tomorrow. Oh, wait, what? Oh, never mind. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of a lot of that information, if that makes sense. Any more quick questions before we go? If we do, we're gonna head out of here. We're gonna get out of here. But breakfast food, hash browns. Hash browns, 100% hash browns. But this is what we're gonna do. So next week, the episode is going to be about ownership. We're gonna be talking about the ownership of your content and how you create it, and the fact that you control everything as part of what you do. We've covered this topic kind of before, but I think it's good to cover it again. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it is and what it means to be able to control everything that happens on your channel, no matter what, right? Using your due diligence to say, this is what I want on my channel and that's it. But also keeping a good face on. Because people get very offended when they have something that doesn't happen. Because sometimes being professional means accepting things that you didn't mean. You know, and going with the show must go on. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that next week. we'll be able to chat a little bit about the future and what kind of guests we might have on. Yeah, I think we're good. So, that being said, thank you so much for watching. As always, catch us next time right here on Streamer Square, twitch.tv/Streamer Square. Check us out on discord.gg/Streamer Square. Every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for Dan's Stream of Thought. You can catch me live twice a day, both once in the morning before the show, usually same time, and once in the evening, usually a couple hours after the show, where I stream all kinds of video games. Today we're playing Dead Cells. A new update came out today, new DLC, playing Dead Cells. We're kicking butt every day, except for Mondays. And I will see you guys all next time, okay? Stay tuned, stay loved, stay positive, play more video games, read more comics. Hit us up on Twitch and Twitter, YouTube, your favorite podcasting site. All of it. Yeah, you can find me, and if you want to join us and just play games with us too, discord.gg/Danotage or Twitter at Danotage, Danotage, Twitch, follow us there. And I'm pretty much everywhere Danotage. Just come follow us. Streamer Square is pretty much everywhere Streamer Square as well. So do all those things, have some fun, enjoy yourselves, and keep a damn smile on your face. I'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody. See you guys next time.